Hello crafty friends, welcome back to another video. This is Laura for Crafty Not Shifty, and today I am going to be trying my first ever resin pour, and we're going to be creating this marbled effect. So I have this kit here from Leisure Arts, and I'm going to show you everything that comes in the kit. It has everything that you need, including gloves for safety and also a sheet to protect your table or your work surface, and it has your resin. It comes as two separate parts that you mix together, and then they will harden and set to form your resin piece. It also comes with a full color instruction booklet, as well as the mixing cups that you'll need, the various different measuring cups and the spatulas to stir everything up, and the colorant for the resin. Now you'll see here there is a bottle missing from mine. I actually got this when I was over in America, and I don't know how I've somehow managed to only come home with one bottle of the resin solution. So I did go ahead and order some larger bottles of the resin. So you'll see that I won't use this little one here. I'll actually use some larger bottles, but everything does come in the kit. I just managed to, I guess, leave part A behind in America. So whoops. Okay, so I'll take all of these pieces out, go ahead and prepare my work surface. You do need to be really careful when working with resin. You should be using gloves always. You should always protect your work surface, and I also have a mask, I'll show you that shortly, that I'll be wearing whilst working with this. Resin is, I believe, to my knowledge and to my research, completely safe once it has cured, but while you're working with it in liquid form, you should definitely take those precautions. So I'm going to be following the instructions in this instruction booklet. This is a DI try, which means it's a DIY I've never tried before. I'm going to do it for the first time and share the results with you. Apart from the kit, I did also grab the tray and coasters, which come as a set, and I'm going to be making this as like a breakfast in bed tray, so it works great for like Mother's Day or Father's Day or Valentines or an anniversary, or even if someone's just sick and you want to bring them breakfast in bed or like a little like tea set or whatever. It's kind of a spoiling tray. Okay, so I'm going to grab all of those pieces and then start mixing. As mentioned, I will be wearing gloves and also wearing this mask here, which looks a little aggressive, but you want to make sure you're wearing a proper mask and not just a paper mask. So here I'm pouring the resin. It comes in two parts. It is a craft resin. You mix it kind of a 1-to-1 ratio. So there are little tick marks along this measuring cup, and I'm pouring out 20 mils of part A and 20 mils of part B. I'm just following the instructions in the book, and then you mix the two of those together in a separate cup. It advises that you should stir this really well. You want to make sure that everything is thoroughly combined so everything sets nicely and it doesn't end up kind of sticky or not setting. And you'll want to do this for each of the colours. There are 3 colorants included in this kit. There is a white, kind of a peachy, corally colour, and also a gold. Now, the one thing the instructions didn't say is how much of the colouring to use. You get enough of the resin mixture to make more than one project. So I was thinking, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use all of the colouring when I mix these colours, or if I'm just supposed to kind of add as much as I want to what looks visibly right. That's what I ended up doing. I did use all of the provided colouring on the tray and the coasters, and I actually think the colours weren't that vibrant. That is one thing that if I was to do this again, I would say that I would paint the tray and the coasters white first, just to help everything pop. Okay, so here I am mixing. This is sped up a little bit. I was mixing very slowly as advised, and I did cut some of this out because it says to mix for a full, I believe it says 3 minutes. So I did kind of work my way through, make sure that was thoroughly mixed, and made sure I kind of scraped around the sides of the mixture and also the bottom of the kind of tumbler that it's in, just so everything's nicely combined. And I'm adding the white colouring to this one, so it's not kind of a huge difference on screen. It was kind of a milky coloured solution anyway because of the stirring. I guess maybe there were some air bubbles in there, but now it's a little whiter and a little brighter. And I added a little more. As I say, I wasn't too sure how much of this to add, so I just went with what looked right to me. I believe you can also mix in glitters, which I think would have been really fun. I think that would definitely be something I'll try again. And the resin was really easy to work with. Definitely not having to kind of do any maths. It was just kind of 1-to-1 ratio for the mixing, so that made it really easy. If you've got 20 mils of part A, you want 20 mils of part B. Couldn't be simpler. So I appreciated that. I know some of the resins out there you have to do some maths and kind of figure out the ratios, but this is nice and simple. So there I have my 3 colours, and once they were thoroughly mixed, I was able to start applying the marbled process. And this is where it got really fun. So I've sped this up because it is pretty simple to follow along. If you haven't tried this craft, this is one I'm going to tell you now before it's even finished. I would definitely recommend. It was so much fun and so easy to work with. You just want to make sure you take those safety precautions, make sure you're not inhaling anything, make sure your desk is protected because once it's dried, you're not going to get it off there. So I started off with 2 of the colours. I'm using that corally colour and then the white. And then I just kind of picked the tray up and moved it round and everything started to mix and blend together. And it was just so easy. You kind of couldn't go wrong, especially because this was in a tray and the liquid's kind of thick so it doesn't move too quickly. It wasn't like splashing all over the sides when I picked it up and tipped it and moved it round. And it just blends really nicely. I really liked how opaque the colours were when I first poured them in, but once I started mixing everything round and definitely once it dried, it did get a little more transparent. So I kind of wish that I'd painted underneath white first, just to disguise some of that wood effect that shows through. But yeah, you live and you learn. That's what I really like about these DIY projects because I try it for the first time and I share it with you and let you know what I thought. Maybe one day I'll do one of these live. I don't know, that might be pushing my luck. So you can see I'm just mixing everything around. I'm deliberately leaving some open space as per the instructions, and I'll go ahead and add the gold on top of this. So once I've poured some of that gold on top, I tried not to use as much of this because I didn't want to overpower everything I'd already done. But I'll be honest, I played with this for a while. So I tried to use my like air puffer that I use with my alcohol inks to move this around and it wasn't working. So I did what the instructions tell me to do and I used my hairdryer on a low setting and my hairdryer is pretty aggressive. So you can see it really moved everything around. I probably could have held it a little further away, but it was really fun to see the resin moving like this. So I was having a great time just kind of moving everything around, creating that marble effect, adding a couple little drops here and there of the colours of what I had remaining. And I probably would have played with this for a lot longer, but eventually I had to kind of tell myself, like, you need to stop. I was getting, definitely getting carried away. So I did. I stopped and I set this off to one side to dry. You want to make sure it dries on a completely flat surface, otherwise your tray is going to be wonky. So next I moved on to the coasters. I covered the back of them in masking tape. This is actually purple tape, which I use in my card making. And this is going to help with any drips that form at the bottom of these coasters so we can keep the bottoms nice and flat and clean. So I covered them in tape and then just trimmed off any of the excess. I showed you one here, but I did do it to all 4 of them. And then I'm actually using just like some cups and some painter's points to rest each of these coasters up off of my plastic surface. And then I'm doing the exact same thing again. Now, the coasters were a little trickier because there aren't any edges. So whereas with the tray, everything was kind of contained inside the tray and the resin wasn't kind of pouring off the sides. I didn't have that kind of comfort with these, so I just went for it. I just kind of started off being a little cautious and then I was like, forget it. I'm just going to go for it. So I really poured the resin on there. You can see with the gold in particular, I kind of deliberately poured it over the edges. And then I brought my hairdryer in and blew it all around. I made a huge mess, but because I had that plastic sheeting down, everything stayed nice and clean on my desk and I was able to just kind of wrap everything up and get rid of it. So I left everything to dry, and then here is the tray. You can hear how like hardened that resin is. I think it's so cool to be able to DIY something like this. Some of my friends came over at the weekend and they saw this was sitting out, and they couldn't kind of believe that I'd made this out of resin. So that was pretty cool. So you can see here the coaster was kind of messy and gross on the back of it, and it wouldn't have laid flat. So I was really grateful that the book contained this tip of using masking paper on the back, because I was able to just peel that away and it brought up all of those resin drips. I had tried to kind of wipe them away as it was drying, but definitely that masking paper helped. And then something that wasn't in the instructions, but I just used my intuition, I grabbed some sanding paper and just smoothed the bottom of those coasters. So there you have it. I had the tray and the 4 coasters. I'm really, really pleased with how these turned out. I actually think this is one of my more successful DIY tries, and I think resin might be something that I try again and again and again. I think it could quickly spiral out of control. I've seen so many amazing products on or projects on Pinterest and Instagram. And one of my friends, who I will link below, she inspired one of my last videos, the Valentines love potions. She does a lot with resin, so I'm going to blame Claire for me being interested about this. So as I say, the products that I used were from Leisure Arts, both the tray and the coasters, and also the resin set. They have a couple different resin kits, so I will include links below to them as well if you want to check it out. And if you have never tried resin before, or if you have but you've never tried marbling with resin, then definitely give it a go. I had a ton of fun. If you do work with resin and you have any tips for us, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below, because I would love to learn more. I'm definitely interested in trying this again. So here we have some close-up shots and also some shots of it being used as a little breakfast tray, perfect for like Mother's Day, and also a Valentine's tray, kind of a breakfast in bed type thing. And that is everything for today's video. If you're new here, then go ahead and click on the subscribe and ring the bell if you wish to be notified each time I post a new video. There are a couple of the videos on screen right now I think you might enjoy. If you haven't already seen them, go ahead and click on the thumbnails to be taken straight through to those videos, and I hope to see you back here again soon. That is all for me today. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.